just remember. Val, let me know when we're ready to kick it off.
All right. Can you see the club screen?
I can.
Yes. Yes,
yes?
it's there.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone and then turn Jim back on, and the meeting will begin.
All right. Started for our bell up here since we're without our usual bell. So I want to welcome everyone to our April 6th meeting. These meetings have gone really well so far. I was reflecting on the history of our club. This club has continued through 2 world wars, Vietnam, Iraq, the Spanish flu, the Great Recession of 2008, and we're not going to let a mere global pandemic slow us down too much. So we are going to continue to have our regular meetings. We're going to continue to enjoy the fellowship of each other, and especially we're going to continue to try to serve our fellow man during this difficult time by supporting the food bank and the Salvation Army and Rex and other great causes that our club is supporting. So please do be mindful that there are a lot of people on the meeting, on this meeting. So be careful about background noise. If your favorite pet should appear, though, that's okay. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Charles for our invocation.
Help us to forever remember, encourage, and applaud those who are risking their lives to protect ours. Give us the strength to not just follow, but encourage everyone to follow the 4-way test of Rotary. Is it the truth? Yes, COVID-19 is everywhere. It is spreading, and unfortunately will be with us forever in one form or fashion. Is that fair to all concerned? No, but we must share in the pain to win this fight for survival. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Yes, as we work together by being apart to fight this virus, we will remake our communities. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Yes, by working together, we can save lives. But always remember that in this time of darkness, give us the strength to see and prepare for a brighter day. Please join me in a salute to the flag and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I would like to welcome, we have a visitor from, if I'm correct, the Warsaw, Indiana Rotary Club, Justin Taylor. So welcome to the South, Justin.
Thanks for having me.
Our very first remote visiting Rotarian.
Yes, we're on a roll.
Welcome.
Are there any other guests other than our speaker? But I'll let Eric introduce her. Is that it?
So this is Eric. I believe we have at least 2 other members of the Southeast Rally Club.
Oh, great. Sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
So please welcome Mia Davis and Van Sapp.
Good to be here.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Is there anybody else from the Southeast Rally Club that's joined?
Not that I've seen. No.
So,
All right then. I guess that covers our announcements to this point. So as a reminder, you can still donate to the Cart Bucket. You can still donate Happy Dollars. Just let Linda know, and she'll include whatever amount you give on your invoice. So it's very, very easy to do. And the proceeds will still go to combat Alzheimer's disease and dementia. So it's a wonderful cause. Our club is one of the leading clubs in donating to this wonderful cause. And let's keep it up. Let's not let a mere global pandemic that Charles has reminded me will be with us forever to slow us down. Let's keep it up. Also, if you have makeups, and you can have makeups through watching our speakers online, attending other clubs, Zoom meetings, you can let Linda know about these, and she'll update your attendance. We have terrific attendance with our club, and we want to continue that through this time when we're not able to gather together. So let's everybody try to make our meetings. They're going to be a little bit shorter than when we're meeting in person, but we're going to continue to have all of the elements, and we're going to continue to have great speakers and fellowship and service. So we'll continue in that vein. We will not have a meeting next Monday. The board, however, will be meeting, and we'll have a report for the membership thereafter. All right, at this time, I think we're to Christy for a brief report for membership.
Everyone, yes, super brief report today. I did get some good feedback about our idea of doing a virtual social, which is exciting. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for us to see some faces outside of the house. So we are thinking tentatively April 23rd. Keep it on a Thursday, just as usual, within the next couple of weeks. But we will update y'all with that and send out a Zoom invite when we get that set in stone. So whoever wants to attend can sign up for that and join us on that date. And other than that, just continue to send me any potential new members that you guys have. You could send some contact information and a name. You can email it to me, send it to me with the chat function right here. But we'd love to keep building that database for when we reschedule our Discover Rotary event. And that is it for me today.
Terrific. Christy, thank you so much. Let's go to Mark for an update on the Southeast Raleigh Club. And we do have two of the leaders of that club on the meeting today with us. So they might want to chip in after Mark speaks.
Hello, everyone. Again, as I reported last week, the Southeast Raleigh Club is doing terrific. The only thing new I have, and I'll ask Van or Mia to speak up if they have anything new, but tomorrow's meeting will be with, they'll have a speaker, Katie Gales, who is with
Wake Tech.
Thank you. I just lost that. Is with Wake Tech, and we'll be doing a pitch on what she does there, as well as some other things. So Mia and Van, if you have anything to add?
Sounds great. We'd just like to thank the club, thank Mark and Eric, Linda, I'm forgetting anybody, you guys for being such a great support for us. So we really appreciate all of your help. Valerie, you guys have been great. Thanks.
Great.
Yeah, we've had this is probably either our third or fourth week with our Zoom calls, our Zoom meetings. So we started in right away to keep up the momentum, and we're also going to start. We're a very new club. We're going to have updates and kind of a weekly rotation from members, kind of updating themselves, talking about their own careers and those kind of things. So in the next few weeks, we'll get around to the entire membership, so we know. Who everyone is.
Terrific. Van and Mia, thank you. We're so excited about the Southeast Raleigh Club. And one of the things that we're really excited about is whenever we're able to get back out together and gather, in person. We're looking forward to doing a joint service project with you and, you know, creating a garden or improving a high school grounds or some sort of project that we can do together. We're really excited about having all of you join us. And Mia, we're going to get you a bell. I hope I'm not getting out ahead of my treasurer here, Tom Packer, but we're going to get you an official Rotary bell so you can start your meeting. And they do really wake people up. I'm going to guarantee you they really do wake the members up and get them ready for the meeting. Let's see. I'll turn it over to Gina for service announcements.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Again, welcome Mia, Val, and the rest of Southeast Raleigh, also to our guest speaker. Really excited to have you all attend today. So for my service update, going to be highlighting a couple of things. The first one, of course, is the food bank. The food bank is in desperate need of monetary donations as well as volunteers that are healthy and willing to go out there and volunteer, you know, along the lines of understanding COVID-19 is around. Valerie, if you can go to the next slide for me. Okay, so not sure if you guys know this, but food insecurity is everywhere. We had a great event about 2 years ago where the YMCA allowed us to tour Southeast Raleigh, and we saw a lot of food insecurity there, but it is everywhere in North Carolina. So if you think about it, it's about 16% of the total population. And those are working families, those are children, those are seniors, they could be your next door neighbor. So it's just staggering statistics. The why behind why we are supporting the food bank is, one, they're serving our direct communities. It's 34 counties in eastern and central North Carolina, so that is near and dear to our heart. And you're thinking about the numbers. I mean, 600,000 individuals live in food insecurity, and that's talking about North Carolina. 200,000 are children, and 50,000 are seniors who live at or below the poverty level. So that is our why, guys. That is, especially with COVID-19 right now, when you're thinking about that and people are now unemployed more than ever, we really need to give. These numbers are probably higher today than they were a couple of months ago. Valerie, if you can go to the next slide, I appreciate it. All right, so another reason why you should contribute to the food bank, I looked up their financials, which it's probably very small print to you all on the left-hand side, but basically what it means is 97 cents of every dollar goes directly to the program and services. So that's a really good bang for your buck right there. Next slide, Valerie. Okay, so in terms of my ask to you guys is join our virtual Rotary team, okay? So we are having a virtual food drive, and right now we have about $320 raised. The most person who's raised money is actually my friend, my coworker Cheslie. So she's not a part of the club yet, but let's at least beat her, right? But try to get out there. Here's the website. Join our team for this virtual food drive. Next slide. If maybe financially you can't right now, I totally get it. There are 2 service opportunities that are available that I've signed up for as an individual. Those are Wednesday, April 15th. That's in the evening for those who potentially work during the day from 6 to 8. It's only 2 hours of your time. And Saturday, April 25th, that's a longer session from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. or noon. Those, we have to sign up as an individual. We can't sign up as a group because of regulations and standards that North Carolina and the nation have. But please join me on these 2 dates. And if you can't join on those 2 dates and you find another date, take a selfie or take a photo of yourself being there so we can share it on social media. Next slide. Okay, here's the other call to service. So UNC Rex Hospital, on their website, they're asking us to donate potential supplies. If you guys are hoarding masks, let our nurses and doctors have them. They have a list of number of supplies that they are looking for. Also, donate blood. As you can see on Saturday, on the right-hand side, that is me giving blood. So it took about 2 hours of my day. In total, it's a great way to give back, and it doesn't cost much besides a pint of your own blood. But if you're healthy, they are in desperate need. Also, Rex has a response fund. So that is a great way to give back monetarily to help our first responders in a hospital that is near and dear to our heart. I think that's it in terms of my report. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gina. Yeah, these are wonderful, wonderful charities, and we need to support them now more than ever. So let's all join Gina and those who've already donated and make a financial gift and support in any way that we can. A couple of other announcements. Scott Stroud has a birthday April 12th, and Dave and Kryst Gaspadarek have been married 51 years as of April the 12th. So congratulations to them. And now, what everyone has been waiting for, Eric Stevens. Eric Stevens' introduction. I think that everyone is going to be incredibly excited to hear Eric in his introduction, but to hear from our wonderful speaker, Cheslie Kryst. And I had the privilege to hear Cheslie at the 200th anniversary of the North Carolina Supreme Court. She was a keynote speaker there, and she's terrific. And Eric, the floor is yours for the introduction.
Thank you so much, Jim, and thank you to everyone for your excellent reports. It is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Cheslie Kryst. I was privileged to get to know Cheslie as a bright and effective young attorney at our law firm, Pointer Spruill. She practices civil litigation, and she was in the Charlotte office of our firm, and I think officially right now she's on sabbatical because she has some other things to take care of. But during her time sort of pre-Miss USA, she has been very active in our firm activities and in community activities with the larger Charlotte community. Cheslie served on the boards of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America, and Dress for Success. She is passionate about criminal justice reform, and she has embarked on pro bono projects for clients, particularly those who served excessive time for low-level drug offenses. But for Cheslie, being an effective lawyer and an effective member of her community wasn't quite enough. So while she was performing her duties as a litigator for us, she also managed to participate in and then win crowns as Miss North Carolina and then Miss USA in 2019. After her win of the Miss USA pageant, she was named correspondent for the nationally broadcast entertainment news show Extra. And in that role, she regularly interviews celebrities such as Tom Hanks and Oprah Winfrey. She has used her platform as Miss USA to continue to provide effective community service. She truly believes in service above self. As a Dress for Success Impact Ambassador, she supports chapters across the country. She serves on the National Board of Directors for Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. Her background, Cheslie is a graduate of the Honors College at the University of South Carolina. Go Gamecocks.
Yes.
And I'm excited about the fact that she earned her law degree and her MBA from my alma mater, Wake Forest University. Everyone, please give a very warm welcome to Miss USA, Cheslie Kryst.
Oh, thank you so much. What an introduction. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you. I see you guys like clapping in the view box. It's really cool. Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you to Eric for that incredible introduction and for inviting me. I think it's so cool that you guys are moving your meetings to virtual meetings. I think there are a lot of clubs and organizations and nonprofits and businesses that are having to figure out how to be flexible in this time. And so it's really cool to see that you guys have done that quite effectively. I'm myself still figuring out Zoom and WebEx. There are a few times where I've like cut my head off of pictures or the video view thing can't see me. So you guys are all very, very adept. But again, thank you for that introduction. Thank you for inviting me. Eric, you and I talked a little bit about what you guys might be interested in hearing from me about. And we talked about two main topics. One, balancing a ton of responsibilities, because that's sort of what I have to do now, and what I did before I became Miss USA. And two, how the Miss Universe organization specifically has sort of changed the way that we deliver our content and the way that we connect with our fans and other supporters while we're dealing with this pandemic. So very excited to talk about those two topics. But before I do, I'm going to delve a little deeper into each of my responsibilities, because I think understanding each of them helps when I'm talking about balancing all of them. So as Eric talked about, I was an attorney, full-time attorney with Pointer Sproul. Now I'm on leave of absence at the moment while I serve as Miss USA. But I wanted for my entire life to be an attorney. When I was little, I was always the one that was representing my siblings when we got out of trouble, or mediating issues between my friends. It was just something that I really loved and something that sort of came naturally to me. So it made sense that I would go to law school and get paid to do exactly what I liked to do anyways. After interning with Pointer Sproul for 3 summers in a row, I accepted an offer in their Charlotte office and loved it. I loved the office, loved the people I worked with, and love Eric, which is why I'm here today, because Eric specifically had been helpful for me when representing one of my clients, a friend of mine, Nia Franklin, who was Miss America 2019. So before I became Miss USA, one of my friends won Miss America and she needed an attorney to represent her. And so she asked me, and so I needed somebody to counsel me and help me out a little bit. And I was glad that Eric and several others from Pointer Sproul helped me out with that. Now, aside from being an attorney, I also dreamt of doing pageants. My mom was the second Black Mrs. North Carolina US. She did a pageant for married women when I was like 10 or 11 years old. And so I remember being little and watching her travel across the state. She could sing. I can't, it's terrible. But she could sing, and so she would sing the national anthem at the March of Dimes, at tons of walks and during meetings, and she would talk to people about volunteering in student schools. And that was important to me and motivated my passion and want to compete in pageants. So I competed first in the Miss America organization and then in the Miss Universe organization. And the third time that I competed for Miss North Carolina USA, I won. And it was great. It was really, really exciting. And then I competed for Miss USA and won again. And the important part about being Miss USA is that it really is a full-time job. So if I'm sure, because you guys are so Zoom savvy, I'm sure you're Instagram savvy. I have a story highlight on my personal Instagram page that shows sort of a day in the life of Miss USA. I was in like 4 cities in 2 days and that's really what my schedule is usually like. I had to fly from Charlotte for an event to New York, which is where I'm based. So I'm sitting in New York City right now. Is my New York City apartment. And then I think that was a Tuesday night that I left Charlotte. On a Wednesday morning, I was here in New York to speak at an event held by the Society of Human Resources Management at the Oculus here in New York, and then had to do some content shoots, had to fly to Memphis by way of Atlanta that same day for another event that night. And that's why my job is a full-time job. So because of that, after I won Miss USA, I took a 1-year leave of absence from Pointer Sproul and now serving in this as sort of my full-time job. Eric also mentioned that I serve as an extra TV correspondent. And by the way, I'm watching the chat. If you guys have any questions while I'm talking, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm happy to stop and explain anything while I'm talking. But I also work as an extra TV correspondent. So Extra sort of scouted me out, was watching me while I was doing my media tour as Miss USA, and they asked if I would come on as a special correspondent. And I did, and so I interviewed Lizzo, Zendaya, Millie Bobby Brown, and then Terrence Howard. And Terrence ended up telling me that he was quitting acting, and we ended up breaking the news that he was no longer going to be acting. And so Extra asked me to come on as a full-time correspondent. So if you watch Extra, I'm in the little intro, which still blows my mind. And as Eric said, I've gotten to interview Tom Hanks, Rita Wilson, Oprah, Amelia Clark, Charlize Theron. I mean, just tons and tons of people. And I never stopped being nervous and excited for all of them. So I sort of balanced two jobs, being Miss USA and being an Extra TV correspondent, which works well because I'm in New York and I'm their New York correspondent. And so we end up sort of meshing schedules pretty well. Now, aside from that, after I graduated from law school, I started volunteering for Dress for Success, and now I'm an impact ambassador for the organization. I travel across the country advocating for the organization and talking about its importance to me. If you're not familiar with Dress for Success, there's actually a Dress for Success triangle. So they have a triangle chapter if anybody's interested in joining, men or women. But what it does is it helps women to achieve economic independence through a number of different programs. Their most popular program being their suiting program. So if a woman can't afford clothing for a job interview, Dress for Success will provide an outfit free of charge. And if a woman gets the job that she's interviewing for, they'll provide a full wardrobe to start her off on the right foot. And that sort of varies by location. In Charlotte, that full wardrobe is usually like 5 outfits. But aside from that, they do tons and tons of other programs. They do financial literacy programs, resume review, job interview training, just a ton of different programs. And so I volunteered for that organization. And then when I won Miss USA, started my nationwide tour, which was really dope. And aside from that, I'm the national, or I sit on the national board for Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. So all of those things I do all at once, which is kind of scary and a little overwhelming at times, but I am able to balance all of them because of really 3 different things that I've learned over time. So this is really like the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk to you guys about today. And obviously, I'm sure many of you balance a ton of different responsibilities. So if you have anything to add, please drop it in the chat. But the first part that's really helped me is I was listening to a speech in Charlotte sometime last year. And I remember the speaker saying something that stuck with me. She said that it's not about balance, it's about harmony. So I think a lot of people end up juggling a lot of responsibilities and feeling overwhelmed or feeling guilty about taking time from one or the other because they feel like they need to spread their time equally between work or extracurriculars or family. But this particular speaker said something that I also think is true, that it's not really about balance. It's really about making sure that everything works all at once. So if that means that work is spilling over onto the weekend and this weekend you don't get to spend a whole lot of time with your family, don't feel guilty about that. That's just, as long as your family is okay, you're not missing something like a birthday or one of those events that you just can't get back. I think it's, in my opinion, it really is okay to have work spill out onto the weekend one day, and maybe the next weekend or the weekend after that, you're leaving work at 4 o'clock. So for me, I had to think about that. I had to really think about making sure that my life had harmony and not so much balance. Now, aside from that, the second real thing that helped me to balance everything or keep everything in harmony, better yet, was that I had friends and families and an employer that supported me and encouraged me along the way. So my what's funny is when I competed for Miss North Carolina, the 3rd and final time, I was about to age out, so this is my last try. I didn't tell Pointer Sproul that I was competing. I actually didn't tell almost any of my friends, and I told my family not to come. So after I won, my mom came up to take the family photo with me, and I remember the photographer saying, "Where's your family?" And I was like, "It's just me and my mom." Meanwhile, I have 6 siblings, a stepdad, a dad, grandparents everywhere. I just told people not to come and didn't tell anybody that I was competing because I was so nervous and didn't want the pressure of people coming and supporting me and worrying about losing. And so the cool thing was that after I won and after I told Pointer Sproul, the law firm that I worked for, about it, everybody was incredibly supportive. In fact, the Charlotte office threw me a surprise party after I won and had a crown-shaped cake in the conference room, took pictures. Everybody was like trying on my crown. It was so much fun. And I was glad to feel that support, not only from my coworkers, but from the higher ups in the firm. So I remember sitting down with one of the managing partners of the Charlotte office and saying, look, I know that I've won and this is really exciting, but I want you to know that I'm still fully committed to my work and this really comes first for me. And he said, that's great and I'm glad to hear that, but if at any point in time you're feeling overwhelmed and you want to pull back, if you want to pull back your hours at some point in time, I need you to talk to me and we will support you. And I was glad, so glad and relieved to hear that, because I was glad that my firm understood not only that I was excited about this, but that was a one in a lifetime opportunity. I was never going to be Miss North Carolina USA again. And they were just happy that they could support me. And so when I started preparing for Miss USA, I did just that. I went back to the partner and said, look, you know, this is really overwhelming right now. And for about a month, I'd like to reduce my hours. And he said, okay, what can we do to support you? And I think that is why Pointer Spruill and other firms and businesses like it end up retaining a lot of talent, because they understand that supporting people with their goals and dreams and their outside interests will end up retaining people and keeping that talent inside the firm. So that was important to me, and having that support from my firm, from my friends and family was also really important. In fact, this past year, Miss Universe competition, if you win Miss USA, you are the representative at Miss Universe. It was on December 8th, and the competition itself runs like a week and a half. We're there to do registration and fittings, learn our dance our dance routines and everything. And I ended up having to fly out from New York to Atlanta, where the competition was being held, on Thanksgiving Day. So I had to tell my family, like, look, I love y'all and I know I'm gonna miss Thanksgiving this year, but I'm going to compete at Miss Universe. And so I told them not to send me any food pictures, because I was still making sure that I was fit and ready for a swimsuit. I was like, don't send me any pictures of cake or pie or anything. I won't be able to handle it. So they didn't, but they were just glad that I was gonna be able to go, and they were supportive. So having that support, very, very important. And it's been important to my success and making sure that my life stays in harmony. Now, third, this one's kind of obvious, but I think reminding yourself of the second part of it is important. It's obviously very important to prioritize things, but on the other hand, it's important not to feel guilt about allowing some things to just fall by the wayside. So for example, aside from doing everything that I do, I run a fashion blog called White Collar Glam. It is a blog for women's workwear fashion, because I couldn't always find clothing that I could wear to work. I didn't always know what was appropriate. I didn't even always know like what stores I could buy, like how high are your heels? Are you supposed to wear pantyhose? I didn't know any of these things. And so I learned, and I made a blog so that women could find that and use it as a resource. But running that blog became exponentially more difficult when I won the title of Miss North Carolina USA, when I was preparing for Miss Universe, when I was preparing to take the South Carolina bar. And so there are times that my blog, which is a lower priority than being Miss USA or Miss North Carolina USA and being an attorney, there are times that it just fell by the wayside. And I promised my readers that I would deliver to them one article and an email every single week. And there are plenty of times where that just hasn't happened. And at first I used to feel guilty about it. I remember when I was preparing to compete at Miss North Carolina USA, and I had to pick up a costume from a friend of mine who was going to loan it to me for the competition. And in addition to preparing for it, I had like a presentation the next day, a presentation I had to do the day after that. I had a memo that was due. I just had all these responsibilities. And this friend of mine wanted to loan me this outfit. And so I had to drive like 15 minutes to this church. I'm calling him when I get to this church so I can pick it up. He's not picking up the phone. It's been 15, 20 minutes. Now I'm frantic because I'm like, I don't have time to like sit here and wait for you to pick up your costume. I'm bawling, crying in the car because I'm like, it's 15 minutes here, 15 minutes back. That's 30 minutes I don't have. It's another 15 minutes. I mean, it really was very, very stressful. And I'm sure there are times that you guys have been in those same situations, maybe not bawling, crying about a costume, but perhaps worried that you just I don't have 15 minutes to do this. I don't have 30 extra minutes to sit in traffic or go here or finish this presentation. But I think understanding that some things just aren't going to happen, and that's okay, and not feeling guilty about it was really, really important to me. So after I took the North Carolina bar, when I was studying for the South Carolina bar, I didn't update my blog for like a good 2 months. And I just had to be okay with it, because I just knew I didn't want to be stressed about it. And I knew that it was going to be all right if I didn't update my blog for several weeks at a time, and that people were just going to understand. There were other things that were more important to me at that point in time. So those are the things that have really helped me the most with balancing everything is really understanding that it's not just balance, it really is harmony. Having friends and family and an employer that supports you, and prioritizing and not feeling guilty about it has made a world of difference for me. Now, aside from that, obviously, we're all sitting in this pandemic trying to figure things out. And I've still been checking my email at Pointer Scroll, so I know that there are so many directives coming from the governor and from our judicial branch, and there are so many different new things that we couldn't have imagined that we're all dealing with. But I think what has been most helpful to companies and law firms has been our flexibility and our ability to understand the challenges that this pandemic has presented us and other people with. So for us, for the Miss Universe organization, we make money off of me going to appearances, off of sponsorships, and other partnerships. And so now, me not being able to go anywhere, me not being able to do, we were supposed to actually have meetings with different networks, with producers in LA. Before this pandemic started, I was supposed to go to an award center. I was supposed to be furthering my Dress for Success tour. There's just a ton of different events that we had scheduled that now have been either canceled or postponed. And so our organization has had to try to figure out how to stay connected with fans and how to continue to be a viable business. So we've turned to social media and been able to start a campaign called Universe United, where we've asked people to send in videos of what they're doing at home so that we all can stay connected and still feel like we're a part of a community. So people have. We had a title holder actually who took like a drone video. She had written like Universe United on the beach where she was and had this drone like take a picture of it and like zoom all the way. It was crazy. We had other people who have been singing, who have been furthering different talents like playing different instruments, who have started blogs. So that's been really cool to stay connected with everybody. We've also switched to doing a lot of Facebook and Instagram live videos and being able to monetize that content so that we can continue to bring in money for the organization. So it's been challenging, but I think because of our ability to be flexible, we've been able to turn what could have been devastating into an opportunity for us to better reach our fans and stay connected and build community at the same time. So I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been really exciting talking to you all, and please let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer any. One of the common questions I get is, do you keep the crown? Unfortunately, I don't. I don't get to keep it. The crown that I wear is from a company called Mikimoto. This is it. It's really, really heavy. This is our shiny crown. It is, I think, like a few decades old. It's real pearls and diamonds, and because it's real, it's worth like $250,000. And so I don't often get to wear it. I think I've only worn it like 5 or 6 times since I won. And it's very delicate. It's really, really old, and I don't get to keep this. But we have a new crown sponsor this coming year who's going to be making a new crown, and the new Miss USA will get like a replica of her crown. I think from this new crown sponsor, the new Miss Universe crown is worth $5 million, which still blows my mind. I would be afraid to touch it. But the Miss Universe, our current Miss Universe, will get a replica of that too, which is pretty cool. So let me know, what questions do you guys have? Is there anything that I can help with while we're all figuring this all out? Oh, I see there's a question in this chat. Oh, not a question. Thank you for your work for Dress for Success. Thanks, Lori. That's a really sweet message. And Valerie too, that's awesome. Okay, someone says, have your travel plans. Okay, this is from Linda. Sorry, it looks like my chat wasn't scrolling when you guys were sending messages. Okay, so Linda says, have your travel plans been curtailed since COVID-19? Yes. So what's been a little bit scary is most of my family, I'm from North Carolina, so most of my family is in Charlotte. So I've been watching the news and seeing what's going on with you guys, but I'm in New York City. I'm in the epicenter of the breakout. And I've been reading like the New York Times, the Washington Post, Fox News. I've been reading everything, probably too much. And it is very, very scary to be in New York City right now, especially knowing that, I've just been consuming way too much content. Central Park, for example, is like 2-3 blocks from my apartment, and I'm literally afraid to go outside. I know that I can, and I have like a few times for groceries, but other than that, I almost never leave my apartment because it is frightful to know the number of deaths, the infection rate here. And so I hope you guys are all being safe and encouraging your families and friends to be safe. And I'm glad that you're doing your meetings virtually now. That's really, really important. Gina says, what is the best advice that you can give to teens in the selfie area? Let's see. I think one of my pieces of advice, well, really two pieces. One, I'm sure they've been told ad nauseum, but one is really just remember that everything that you put out there stays. I think I've been lucky in that I'm 28 going on 29 years old. And so I grew up with like MySpace, but you could delete your MySpace. People weren't saving anything. So nobody knows the crazy songs that I used to have on my MySpace page. And nobody knows like how I ordered my friends list. None of that is still up anymore. But we now live in a day and age when like if you have messages or photos that you don't want to stay up, they really can stay out there. I remember some of my Instagram pages, I've searched my name on Google, and some of my Instagram pictures that are no longer on my page are still on the internet. It's very strange and scary. So I hope that teens remember that anything that you put out there stays. And a good way to monitor the content that you're putting out is measuring whether or not you would want an employer to see what you're putting on the internet. In fact, when I started working with Pointer Spruill, a group of attorneys and some of their kids started following me on Instagram. And so that was it was honestly a great thing for me. I think at first I was like a little taken aback, like, oh my gosh, I have to take down all my pictures from me going out to the bars and clubs. But I think for me, it turned out being a great thing in that I always constantly think before I post something, what would this person, what would this attorney, or what would their daughter think of me posting this photo or posting this caption? So that's been a good measure for me. So that's one thing. But on the other side, I see so much bullying on social media so often, and I'm honestly very sad when I see that happening and coming from young people, from youth. And I hope that people remember that when you see bullying happen, especially if you're being bullied, I've discovered that many people who put hatred out towards you are really just feeling insecure themselves. And so trying to remember that a lot of bullying that you see or may feel isn't personal. It's really because it's coming from a hurt soul. And so I hope that they understand that and try not to put out negative messages as well. Let me see if there are any other questions on here. Okay, Van Sapp asks, what kind of law am I practicing? So while with Pointer Spruill, I did complex civil litigation. I did a number of different projects while I was at the firm. I didn't have a specialty. I practiced for 1.5 years before I won. But I did a lot of really, really cool cases. Some of my cases were really complex business problems. Others were like personal injury issues. One of them was a cat bite case that'll probably stay with me for the rest of my life. It's just so entertaining. Just the facts that came out of that case and talking to different people involved with the case made my job really, really entertaining. But aside from that, I also did some pro bono work, which gave me great joy in that after I graduated from Wake Forest, we had a special speaker after graduation, Brian Stevenson, speak at Wake Forest. And I remember one of the deans at the law school coming up to me and saying, have you read his book? And I said, no, his book is called Just Mercy. There's just been a movie released called Just Mercy that's based on the book. And so I read the book and it really changed the way that I look at our criminal justice system and the real tangible problems that we have, both in North Carolina and nationwide. So when I started practicing, I really wanted to do something. And so my stepdad, who Elsa says it's a fabulous book and movie. Yes, I agree. So my stepdad, who is an attorney practicing securities for Kilpatrick, had been doing some pro bono work and I joined him. So we do pro bono work for low-level drug offenders. And that has been fulfilling for me and gratifying, not only because of the work that I do, but also because of what I've learned and the people that I've been able to meet. One of the attorneys that I worked with, her name is Brittany Barnett. She runs the Buried Alive Project. And if you've heard of Alice Johnson, a woman who years ago was exonerated by Donald Trump, released, Brittany Barnett was the attorney who was working with Kim Kardashian to free Alice Johnson. And so obviously Brittany is an incredible attorney. She's a great advocate. And I, by working with her, have learned a great deal about pro bono work and how I can help people. So I encourage you guys, to do as much pro bono work as you can, because it really does help people. And I've been glad to do the work that I've done, even in addition to the work that I do for the law firm. Reagan says, FYI, Beth Briggs, the first woman to be president of the Rotary Club of Raleigh, worked for Dress for Success for some time in the last 10 years. Yeah, I'm glad to see the connections there, especially between, the Rotary Club of Raleigh and Dress for Success in the Triangle area. The facility that I visited for Dress for Success was incredible. So obviously, because Dress for Success provides clothing to women, they have to have a huge warehouse, and the warehouse at Dress for Success Triangle was giant. I mean, it was so well organized. It takes a ton of people to do that. And so, excuse me, clearly it's a very well-run chapter at Dress for Success, and I was glad to be able to visit and do a couple of events with them. All right, I don't see any more questions. If you guys have any more, drop them in the chat, or if I log off before you drop in the chat, feel free to email me or contact me. My email is my name, Cheslie, Cheslie, @missuniverse.com. If you'll drop in there that you're from the Rotary Club, I'll probably answer sooner because I get a ton of emails all the time. But it was great to be able to talk with you guys. Thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciated it, and I'm glad to hear about the work that you're doing in our communities. Oh, thanks. I see your class. Thank you.
Cheslie, thank you so much for being with us today. What an inspiring message. You're doing so much for family and pro bono work and your legal career and your service work, and then Miss North Carolina, USA, your media work. I'm not sure how you do it all. I know you were a Division I athlete in college as well. I'm sure you're continuing to do something there. And so we salute you for all that you're doing for the legal profession and for all the causes that you serve. And so I'm going to commission Eric Stevens to give you a Rotary coffee mug. It's a very coveted object that will help you get off to a good start in the morning. And it has the 4-way test of Rotary on it. And again, we just thank you so much for being with us today. And now, Rotarians, let's close our meeting, as we always do, with the 4-way test. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all?
Concerned.
All right. So thank you, Rotarians, for another great meeting. And Monday week we'll be back together for another virtual meeting. We'll have another great speaker and a time for fellowship. And if anyone has any suggestions for the club, for our meetings, for service or otherwise, please let one of the officers know, or Linda, or Val, or Gina, and we'll get back to you, and we'll try to incorporate all good suggestions. Thank you so much. We are adjourned.